Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity today to give my inaugural speech in this House. I acknowledge that we meet on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to the elders past and present. I extend this respect to the Bidjigal people of the Darug clan who occupy the land in the western and northwestern parts of Sydney, and I extend this respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. Mr Speaker, I stand here as the newly elected member for the state seat of Castle Hill. I am proud and honoured by the faith, trust and responsibility bestowed on me by the people of Castle Hill. Throughout my career I've appeared in many courts and tribunals as a prosecutor and as a lawyer. However, nothing can actually prepare a person for this unique experience of standing at this table in this historic chamber. The seat in the House I now occupy is owned by my community. It is important that I give some commitments to my community, and I pledge to the people of Castle Hill that I will act and make decisions with the utmost integrity, honesty and skill. I will represent my community without fear or favour. I will consult with my community so that the decisions which I make in the discharge of my duties will reflect the values and the views of the members of my community. And I'll use the skills, values and knowledge which I've learned during my life without fear in discharging the role of the elected representative of the community. Mr Speaker, I also want to pay respect to the former members who've served the community with which I now represent. The community with which I represent takes in parts of the former electorates of Baulkham Hills, Castle Hill and Hawkesbury. I follow in the service of members who have served the community which I now represent. These members include former members of this House, Wayne Merton, David Elliott, Michael Richardson, who I know is here today, Dominic Perrottet, Ray Williams and Robin Preston. Each member I've mentioned served the community with respect, honesty and integrity, and I will do so as well. I express my gratitude also to the member for Epping, Dominic Perrottet, who served this state as the 46th Premier of this state. Dominic served with integrity, with honesty and with integrity, and he was a very great Premier, and I express my gratitude to Dominic. Mr Speaker, the electorate which I represent is situated in Sydney's northwest and is one of Sydney's fastest growing regions, teeming with families, schools, sporting groups and community groups. It's a place to bring up families, schools. It's a place where there are many sporting groups and community groups. It's a place where there are opportunities in my electorate because of the work of the last coalition government that built the North West Rail Link, a link that has transformed the region and transformed Western Sydney. It is an electorate, Mr Speaker, that has a rich history. The Bidjigal people lived throughout our region for thousands of years. 4 years after British settlement, David Burton, a surveyor, a botanist and gardener, examined the countryside around Parramatta, and during his visits to Baulkham Hills, Castle Hills and areas north, he reported in his journals, quote, "Where the 4 settlers at the northern farms are, and for 7 miles to northward and eastward, the ground is very excellent. It is fine clammy loam and 15 inches and 2 feet deep." A few years later, in 1801, Governor King, when selecting a location for the government farm at Castle Hill, also said, "I fixed on the situation that Governor Phillip intended as a stock farm for the government, the soil being the best and most productive kind." The electorate, Mr Speaker, now includes vibrant retail and vibrant restaurant precincts at Baulkham Hills, Castle Hill and Dural town centres. We have in our electorate a wonderful and diverse multicultural community where our residents have come from different parts of the world, have different cultures and different values and different religious beliefs. We have 39.6% of our members of our community who are born overseas. The different cultures and values of our community come together in a society in a way that actually enriches and strengthens the very bonds of our society, of our community. Mr Speaker, I stand here today and I reflect on the values which have guided me in life and which will now guide me in the service of my community. The first and foremost important value I discovered when I was young is the importance of the family unit, the importance of family values and the importance of hard work. My father Charles and my mother Janet were both born in 1936. They are retired and they are living in the mid-North Coast. They are not here today due to the distance, but I know they are watching, and I love you very much, Mum and Dad, and We celebrate their long life together, but at some stages they did have some difficulties. In 1989, after battling illness, my dad had a kidney transplant. I remember it very well. Dad was at work when the hospital called him to tell him to attend St Vincent's Hospital. He had a kidney transplant, and a few years later the transplanted kidney failed. Dad was again on dialysis for a number of years, 3 times per week, and that was tough. After a few years, which seemed like a lifetime in my parents' life, it appeared that a kidney donor would not be forthcoming. A new medical procedure became available and a donor was found. That donor, Mr Speaker, was my mother. A transplant is a serious operation, and my parents were at that age 70 years of age, and we knew there would be some risks in the transplant. The transplant went well, and my parents remain living at Tuncurry in the north of the state. In a way that seems so appropriate, Mum didn't only contribute to the very existence of her children, to myself and my brother and my sister, but to her husband as well. The courage, love and dedication to each other shown by my parents to go through a transplant operation at 70 years of age is something which is extraordinary, which our family is extremely proud and grateful. Almost 16 years has passed since the transplant, and I want to express in this House my heartfelt gratitude to Dr Paul Trevelyan and the entire staff of the John Hunter Hospital at Newcastle who performed the operation. Organ donors save lives. Registering matters, and I would encourage everyone to register to be an organ donor. Mr Speaker, my parents' example has been a shining example of service, duty and sacrifice to me, to my older brother Alan and to my younger sister Julie. We learned at an early stage the values of service to the community from my parents. My mother was a nurse and her father was a police officer. Dad, for the greater part of his working life, was a detective working at the Gosford Police Station. Yes, and I acknowledge the comments of the member for Gosford. I completed also my high school at the Gosford High School. When I completed my schooling, I wanted to learn a little bit about business. I ended up being accepted into a retail management certificate at the Grace Brothers store at Broadway. I travelled each day from Gosford to Broadway on the train. It was about a 2-hour trip there and a 2-hour trip back, so I experienced public transport. Having experienced public transport, although it was a bit different back then, I am certain the people of New South Wales will expect this government to continue to work to complete the previous government's infrastructure plans with respect to the metro to assist our community. The best part, I might say, Mr Speaker, about travelling to Sydney was I met my wife Rayleigh whilst I was travelling on the train. We will celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary later this year. Rayleigh and I have 2 children, Natalie and Matthew, and 1 son-in-law, Michael. We have 1 grandson, Charles, who is 19 months old today. I love you all, and I would not be standing in this historic chamber if it wasn't for the support of my wonderful family. I thank you. Mr Speaker, after working for Grace Brothers for about 12 months, I realised that a retail career or management career was not what my calling was. I decided to join the New South Wales Police Force. I graduated as a probationary constable about 42 years ago when I was stationed at the Eastwood Police Station. It honestly feels like it was yesterday that I was graduating at the Redfern Police Academy as a probationary constable. As a police officer working in Eastwood, I attended domestic violence disputes, assaults, traffic matters, and sometimes I even worked on traffic school crossings. I have a very high respect for the men and women of our police force, and I will fight to support the police officers in the decisions that I make and in my actions. The set of values that has guided me during my adult life and will guide me in this House are values which I've learnt while serving as a member of the police force. Those values will include upholding the law, preserving the rights and freedoms of others, the efficient use of public resources, and understanding that authority must always be exercised responsibly and reasonably. They are core values which I will uphold. Mr Speaker, after working as a general duty police officer for about 2 years, I made the decision to follow my father's footsteps and become a detective, and I applied for the Criminal Investigation Branch. The police prosecuting branch of the New South Wales Police Force had other ideas about my future, and I ended up being transferred to the prosecuting branch. I decided to remain in the prosecuting branch, and I was appointed a prosecutor in late 1985. And I acknowledge there are some former prosecutors in the gallery. Mr Peter Proctor and Mr Greg Heathcote have joined me here today. Yes. I also take this opportunity to acknowledge other former prosecutors who are members of this House, including the member for Winston Hills, Mark Taylor, and the member for Orange, Philip Donato, and I congratulate both members on their own recent re-election. I completed a law degree whilst working as a prosecutor. I worked as a prosecutor during the daytime, and I attended university of an evening for 6 years. I very much want to acknowledge my wife's patience, love and support when I was completing the Bachelor of Laws, and I thank you for that. When I completed the Bachelor of Laws, I applied for a senior sergeant's role in the New South Wales Police Force. I was successful and I was promoted to the rank of senior sergeant. I was at the time the youngest senior sergeant in the history of the New South Wales Police Force. It was also about this time that I was offered a position to work in a solicitor's firm in Sydney. The decision which I had to make to resign from the police force or to stay in the police force and take up a position in private practice was a very difficult decision at the time. Muhammad Ali once said, "A person who is not courageous enough to take risks will never accomplish anything in life." I took at the time what seemed to be a risk. I resigned from the police force in June 1990 to take up a role with a firm of lawyers. I subsequently commenced my own firm working as a sole practitioner in 1994. I've worked as a sole practitioner for the last 29 years. Working as a sole practitioner has enabled me to understand the difficulties facing small businesses in New South Wales. It has enabled me to understand that governments must do more to help those who take risks to commence and conduct small businesses. One of the policies which the Liberal Party took to the election recently was to remove red tape to help small businesses and to reduce the cost of doing business in our state. And I trust the incoming government will take action to remove red tape and will help our small businesses. Governments should not micromanage our lives and our businesses. I believe that those who take risks of starting businesses should not be unreasonably impeded by government restrictive controls. Particularly now, more than ever, as we recover from the pandemic, we need to remember that we need to help our businesses to restart and to continue the recovery processes from the financial loss during the pandemic. Mr Speaker, working as a lawyer and working as a police officer has given me a very deep sense of justice, fairness and equality. They are my third values, which will guide me. Those values being, as I said, justice, fairness and equality. This Parliament can only operate effectively by maintaining the trust, respect and confidence of the people with whom we represent if we maintain confidence of our people. To maintain such confidence, we must ensure that laws are made and administered by the departments in an open, honest and transparent manner. All people, regardless of their status, culture, religious beliefs, gender or any other attribute, should be governed by laws which apply equally to all members of our society. As a solicitor for the last several years, as part of my practice, I've worked in debt recovery and insolvency, in crime, and I've done some family law matters. I acknowledge Effie Nesty from Audit Collections, who is here today. I also acknowledge Paul Hack from Legal Force, who are two people that I've worked with in debt recovery. I've worked with many small businesses who have sustained financial loss during the recent pandemic. As a police officer, as a solicitor and as a counsellor, I have met and heard the experience of many women and children who have faced family and domestic violence. As a lawyer, I've acted for women who have suffered domestic violence. I say the scourge of domestic violence and personal violence is something which we must continue to fight to remove, to eradicate from this society. As the member for Castle Hill, I pledge to do whatever I can to support women and children who have been impacted by domestic violence. I'll advocate for the provision of services to help them get back on their feet. And I'll do what I can to end domestic violence blight on our society. I pay tribute to the work of Mark Speakman and Natalie Ward in the previous government. Mark and Natalie worked hard to assist victims and to make New South Wales a safer place to live. And I give my commitment to work with all people of goodwill to do what I can to contribute to that work to make New South Wales an even safer place. Mr Speaker, I believe in the core values of the Liberal Party. It is because of my belief in the core values of the Liberal Party that about 9 years ago I joined the Liberal Party. Those core values include that all members of our society should be entitled to receive fair income from their labour, that all members of our society should have an equal opportunity, including an equal and fair opportunity, to rent or purchase a home, and that the preservation of the family unit and the family values is paramount to our society. Mr Speaker, a fair, equal and real opportunity means that members should be able to seek employment or otherwise set up their own business with little intrusion from government. The role of government is to assist members of society and not to impede them. It was approximately 2 years ago that I was asked whether I would be prepared to put my name forward as a candidate for the election in the Hills Shire Council. I was successful in the 2021 elections and I was elected a councillor. At my first meeting, I was elected by my colleagues to serve as the Deputy Mayor. To be elected as the Deputy Mayor at my first meeting was both humbling and I felt extremely honoured. Though my term as Deputy Mayor has expired, I remain a councillor serving on the Hills Shire Council, and I acknowledge the new Deputy Mayor Mitchell Blue, who's here today. Mr Speaker, in this 58th Parliament, there are no less than 50 members who have served or remain serving their community as councillors, and I note yourself, Mr Speaker, that you were a councillor on the Lake Macquarie Council. 3 other members who have served as councillors on the Hills Shire Council remain serving in this House: the member for Kellyville, the member for Winston Hills, and the member for Hawkesbury, each served as councillors. The Castle Hill community with which I represent is also fortunate that many of the councillors who served on former terms of council remain very active in the community and remain supporting our community. And I know the community is thankful for their continued service in various committees and various groups. Mr Speaker, as I continue to serve as a councillor and having regard to the importance of the civic service given by councillors to the community with whom we represent, I want to make special mention of the current council. The Mayor of the Hills Shire Council with whom I serve is Dr Peter Ganjemi, who is here today. I acknowledge and express my appreciation for Peter's attendance here today. I know Peter works very hard in the service of our community, and I know Peter's diary is always full. I look forward to continuing to work with Peter and also all of the councillors in my role as the member for Castle Hill. Working with all political parties and working with all current serving councillors in a collaborative way benefits our community. I have invited all councillors, whether they be Labor, Liberal, Greens councillors, as a mark of respect to all councillors who serve on the Hills Shire Council, and I know that some of them couldn't attend today. I thank all the councillors with whom I serve for their friendship and support. It means a lot to me. As the Deputy Mayor of Council, I was fortunate to meet many wonderful and hard-working members of the community with which I now serve in the role as member for Castle Hill. The community with which I represent is much more than geography, landscapes, gardens and rural locations. The fabric of the community is the people who make up the area with which we as members are fortunate to serve. I intend to make mention of some of the community volunteers and to acknowledge some of our volunteers as they make up the fabric of our society. I will continue working with all community groups for the benefit of the people of my electorate. I mentioned such groups in my electorate, such as the Rotary Clubs, and we have 5 of them: Kenthurst, Hills Kellyville, Castle Hill, Norwest Sunrise, West Pennant Hills, and I think Dural is just out of the area, but that is another club. We are fortunate to have a group called Positive Vibes Foundation. Positive Vibes has several programs, including women's sheds and poor visits, and they work generally in mental health. And I thank the chair of Positive Vibes, Michelle Byrne, the former mayor of the council, as well as Mercedes Durante, Jeanette Farrell, Mario Rodriguez and others involved in Positive Vibes for the work they do in my community. We also thank to have the ongoing support of the Community Migrant Resource Centre, and I will work with them. And I thank Melissa Montero, who is the Chief Executive Officer. We also very fortunate to have in the Hills the Community Foundation of North West Sydney, and I know that foundation works both in Blacktown and in my community. Rajiv Chowdhury, who is the President of the Community of North West Foundation. Rajiv is one of the respected members of the community with whom I work with. We also have in the Hills a high percentage of members who have Indian ancestry. Mr Speaker, might I have an extension?
I'm pretty sure you probably will be able to. The question is that the member's time be extended. All about opinion say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. The member's time is extended.
Thank you. The census shows that 9.1% of the residents of the Hills area have Indian ancestry, twice the percentage compared to the greater part of Sydney. One of our important groups is our India Club, and they serve our community quite well. India Club was founded by Shubha Kumar and Akshaya, and I acknowledge the attendance of Shubha and Akshaya here today, and I thank you for your attendance. We also have a large group of volunteers that help with Relay for Life, and I acknowledge Lisa Carruthers and Bev Jordan and others for their work on Relay for Life. It will be one of the, it will be the first ranking Relay for Life this year, I believe, in terms of raising funds for our society. I thank my electoral staff, Helen Russell, Leanne Simmons and Molly McDonald, for the knowledge and assistance they have given me over the last few weeks in my new role. Mr Speaker, I lastly want to thank several important persons who have been influential in my life and who have significantly contributed at the recent elections. To Tim Abrahams, I thank you for your long-standing friendship and support. I will, as you know, continue to seek your wise guidance and mentorships and views during my service as a Member of Parliament. To Colonel Michael Abrams and his wife Julia, and I know they're not here, Colonel Abrams working today, I thank you for your friendship and assistance in relation to 2021 council elections and in relation to the 2023 state elections. To David and Wendy Faulkner-Dick, I thank you for your friendship and advice over the years and for your assistance during the campaign. To Jeff Clark, Helen Pearson, Les and Jill Dybel, I thank you so very much for your significant time working pre-poll and on election day. Thank you very much. To Councillor Jessica Brazier, I don't know what I could have done without your work as the social media manager on my election campaign and for your efforts on election day, and I thank you very much. To Deputy Mayor Mitchell Blue, I thank you for your friendship and for your work given to my campaign, and I know that you worked on someone else's campaign, the member for Hawkesbury's, but you also provided invaluable assistance to me, and I thank you. To my campaign manager, David Rossi, I want to thank you very, very much for your work as my campaign manager. David took on the role of campaign manager under the guidance of Tim Abrahams at a late point in time, and I thank you, David, for the assistance. There are many members who helped me during the campaign, and I thank each person immensely. It is not my intention to mention every person in my inaugural speech. I will thank those persons who worked on my campaign individually and in another forum. Mr Speaker, in closing, I am very optimistic as to my service to my community. Like every member, there are goals which I wish to achieve during however long I'm honoured to serve my community. The goals foremost include to ensure there are additional or improvements to the existing schools within my electorate to meet the growing population, improvements in our education system, improvements to the road infrastructure to assist my community, and further work on the metro train network to serve not only the needs of my electorate, but to serve Western Sydney. My final goal during however long I serve, Mr Speaker, is to ensure the quality of life of those who live and work in my electorate is improved, to ensure that social cohesion, which like glue binds members of our community, is not just maintained but is improved during my term, and lastly, to ensure the trust and respect which society has in our democracy and in this Parliament is not preserved but is rather enhanced while I'm here. Thank you, Mr Speaker.